Hey, it's Don the Auction Professor. It's Sunday, so we're going to do another What's Sold on eBay video today. I'm just going to hop over here and we are going to see what's sold. Okay, so I just today grabbed just some of the last couple days items. These are just random items for the last few days. We sold a ton of stuff this last week. A bunch of clothes, a bunch of toys. Sold some video games, some more camera equipment. Some more phonograph equipment, 30 or 40 comic books, just oddball end stuff this time. A bunch of clothes, as I said. I think we sold over 30 pieces of clothing. A ton of records, like 70 records. It's just been a real good week for us again. We've got a ton of postcards and paper going up this whole week, so that's more of what we've sold items of is paper as well. So the first item here, this one's a trade card. Not super scarce, but it's harder to get than most of the average ones. It does have some minor damages, you can see up on the top left. Still got $17.50. The damage was listed, chipped at the corner up there. Let's see here. Next one, postcard. This one just went up. I think we took $14.50 on this one here. It's just an oddball postcard, nothing fancy. It's got wear on the sides, as you can see, but it's a decent topic, like a World War I soldier Christmas one, and those go fairly well. I sold two of these in this past week. This one here, the cloud-shaped ones, sell very well. Yeah, this is the same one. This is the same. I've sold two of these, and I have a couple more of these. So I say in some of these cases, I sell the same one over and over again, and I can just literally use the same listing when I have multiples. I usually have a little memo, and this is one of the ones. I have quite a few of these. You'll run into stuff, and sometimes you'll just buy just like 50 of the same item. I'll do that in cases like this if it's a label or something. And then I'll just keep relisting the same listing over. We took 10 on this one. Anywhere from 8 to 10 is about average on this specific one. But I saw, again, labels, almost every day we saw a couple labels of some sort. This one went up right away, and it was sold within, say, an hour or so. It's a hand-tinted. It's an earlier one. Again, California, $34.50. And I've talked about magazines. We get like $10 or so on these bananas. The topics are important on these. So this one here, it's Charlie's Angels and Star Wars, obviously, and it was up for like 2 or 3 months. So I have 15 cents into listing it, and off it goes. I'm all set. And again, residual income for most of the items you're seeing here. And it builds up. Once you have so many items, something's going to sell out of that area constantly. Jewelry is another example. We sold, let me see. 27, no, I'm sorry, that's the other category. We sold over 20 pieces of jewelry this past week, 2 or 3 every day of the week. And these kind of things sell, not something fancy. We took $15 for it. It is marked. It's got an early mark, too, with the crown. This is the Trifari mark. It's a little hard to see. Let me get the little mark off there. But there's a crown, the word Trifari, and then there's a crown right there on top of it. That's the early 40s, 50s mark. And that's the reason it's sold for $15 versus a Trifari that might sell for $1 or $2. But jewelry sells. As I said, I've talked about it in another video. I'm going to be getting a jewelry video together so you can kind of get an idea on what costume jewelry sells and what's the best items to look for. This one I had up for like 6 months. Just an oddball item. It's tin whistle. It's before Christmas. Literally went overnight. $17.50. This is one of those dollar items that I paid for. But it's an earlier one. It's made in the USA, 1920s or 30s. It's one of those weird oddball whistles. But it did sell $17.50. Another label here, travel label. Again, these kind of things I run into. Sometimes they're mixed up with postcards. Sometimes you go to an auction, a local antiques or collectibles auction, and these will show up in collections, big bulk lots of them. And that's where I try to get them the most at. If you're trying to find sources, I guarantee you, whatever town you're in or wherever you live, within 20 or 30 minutes, there's probably an antique auction that runs, a couple times a week or once a month or a couple times a month. There's probably more than one, honestly, wherever you're at, unless you're way out in the country somewhere. But they even have local and live auctions. And there's got to be flea markets. That's the kind of places you're going to look for to find some of these paper items. Because even those people do not look all this stuff up. I mean, this thing here I probably paid a few cents for. I got $34.50 for it. Again, you got to look outside the box. You're not going to find them at your normal haunts, the normal places you go to. You've got to look outside the box. And, this is part of that research. You've got to research where to find the stuff, and you've got to look around your local area, what's available. Antique malls aren't going to be the source for everybody. Antique, stores and stuff like that, big antique festivals and fairs might not even be good for you in your area. It depends on the specifics of your local area. I can't speak on every area in the country. I've been across the country, so I've seen a lot of areas. I know in Virginia and Washington, D.C. area, there's a ton of good flea markets and antique places to go. Down in the south and all of the Gulf Coast area, there's tons of antique malls. Florida is a good place. There's a ton of good places. Even in Denver, we did very well. We were in Denver. I've been to California in the Whittier area. We did well there. It just depends on where you go. New York's the bomb. Boston's the bomb. If you go in the Boston area, Brimfield's is a great place to source. We always made a ton of money, and I'm talking thousands if we went and spent a day at Brimfield's. Every time we went, because there's just so much there and too many items to look up for too many people. So you're going to run into some good stuff and make a good amount of money up there. But let's go on to the next item. The next item here, this one was up for, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks. I took $34.50 for this as well. It's the area. It's an oddball early card, unused. Again, postcards, we've been bombing the postcards. We've been just flooding it with everything we got coming up in postcards. And I got guys just listing postcards. I got other ones just taking photos. In one day, we did 4,000 photos, which would be 2,000 postcards. Those are almost all up. Every one of those first 2,000. We've already done a second day of photos where we did almost 4,000 photos again, and we're going to be working on those now because we literally got the first 2,000 up. So that's how many listings we've been getting up in this past week or so. Around 2,000, just actually over 2,000 this past week. And of those, we've already, with what we've sold through normal listings, we're already down like 500 or 600 of those items. So, the stuff goes in and goes out really quick when you're listing that much. Because, if we list 2,000 items, I might sell a couple hundred items, from other items that are already up. And then we're also going to sell some of those items. And every day we sell more and more of those items. So it's now building up, and we're going to have, residual income from what they've listed. So even up through Christmas, I'm going to see the boost from what's going up right this minute. We're going to have a big boost in Christmas time, and that's what you want to do. You want to be working right now and getting stuff up for Christmas. I know people wait till the last minute or wait a couple months out, if they don't have the time. You do it as soon as you can. You work on getting more and more items up before it's too late and before you miss the time frame. People buying for Christmas, and even paper items sell for Christmas too, and there's all kinds of items that you want to get up. And it doesn't have to be for Christmas that you're putting these up. A lot of postcards and paper items sell all year round. There is a bigger push, though, for the winter because more people are in their houses as opposed to being outside for, summer activities. So regardless, the sales do go up for us on those areas too, but they don't go down in the summer. So either way, I still need to get as much up as quickly as I can. You're going to sell the Christmas items and things like that. So we always have a boost. We've already got, wholesale locked down for Christmas, so I'm not worried about any of that stuff anymore. Halloween's, going off to the printer now, so we're already set on the Halloween printing. And, things are going fairly well in the right direction as of now. Our models are literally just about done. We'll have printing samples back from the printer for the top of our boxes. And then after that, I'll probably be showing those on my channel here too. But that's just a little bit of what we got going on and what we're doing right now, which is looking for third and fourth quarter. We start to pick up above and beyond what we normally do. We start to pick up before Halloween, so September-ish, we start to see a little bit of an increase, and then in October more. It just depends on how much holiday items like Halloween stuff we put out. And this year we're going to try and get a ton of Halloween up. My guys were photographing cards and things, Halloween-related items last night, so we'll be working on those. We'll put them up now. They could even be all sold before it even gets to the Halloween season, because Halloween does always sell for us. But that's just a touch on that. Let's go on to the next item here. $34.50. This one was up for like 3 hours. Oddball topic here, mining. The town itself, a lot of stuff does not sell from this town. but the subject matter, an open pit mining, and it's a named mine. I might have been able to put 50 or 60 bucks on this and it sell, but there was no cards whatsoever, I think, from Iron Mountain that went over 20 bucks. So I put 34.50 on it and thinking, oh, I'm going to be safe. But even I could have gotten maybe more money out of this card. You know, open pit mining, I should have thought a little more. I'm not going to sweat it. This was like $1 or less postcard. So, you know, I still made 30 bucks after fees, after everything. He's paying for posters, the person who bought this, so I'm not out anything on that either. I showed these in a haul video. I do believe it was a big box. It had some firemen in it too. I got $8 into a bunch of Fisher-Price, and again, I split them up into 2 lots. The Western ones usually sell fairly well. I try to keep mostly just Western and Cowboys and Indians and things in this one, with the bison and the buffalo in it, and we took it $34.50. It was sold within 5 or 6 hours of me listing it. So somebody probably needed, you know, the bandit figure, or, you know, the coyote or something here. But it's a good lot. It sold quick. I was happy about it. Quite a surprise even. So that means the other part of it has more items in it. We should get at least 20 or so bucks. So I'll make 50 bucks or so out of that $8 single $8 profit. And this is back to the phonograph, the hi-fi items I got. I save the screws, the nuts, the bolts, and stuff all the time. Somebody knows what half of these are probably. Some of these, like, there's some little black clips in here. Those always sell. They're like, what do you want to call it? Cartridge clips. Kind of hard to show you, but there's one up there on the top left. Actually, there's a couple of them. So they knew these were good parts. These are all like tone arm and screws and stuff. And I sold them for 35 bucks. I was happy. I was surprised. I just throw this stuff out there, expect 15 or 20 bucks most. 35 bucks was a good plus for it. So, you know, all that stuff still sells. Residual income. I bought these weeks ago. I showed you what sold the first week right off the bat. I've sold something from that lot every single week. I think I only got 2 or 3 things left out of all of the items I got from that hi-fi $5 purchase. We're like in the $1,500 profit margin or profit range right now from just that $5 purchase. So, you know, you got to just be on the lookout, and you got to do your research, and you got to expand your categories. Otherwise, you're not going to end up anywhere. You're just going to be stuck in clothing, and the clothing is going to decline the way everything's going, with how eBay's doing it, with the changes, with the Veros. So just be cautious and start expanding into other areas, you know, trying to increase your opportunities. You know, you got to expand to make more money, no matter what you do. I don't know how you can scale up clothing and still be able to produce, you know, good photos and everything of the items, you know, pushing all this stuff out. And how are you going to store it? The stuff like this is so small, it can be stored in such a small area. I can store thousands of items in the space that some people can store one item in, you know. And let's go on to the next item. I think I showed these koala bears in a haul video. I got like 30 bucks out of them, so, you know, and they paid for shipping. I thought they were cute. 30 bucks profit. They did go for $34.50. But these items sell fairly well. This one went in the salt and pepper shaker section. If they didn't sell there, I would have put them in the animal section under collectibles. But again, this is a pretty good purchase. I think I got $1 or 2 into them. Let's look at the next item. These were just a couple cents, I think maybe a quarter or something I got in a haul. And I got $27.50 for them, so I was kind of surprised. These are hit or miss, some of these. I don't know any individual characters much anymore these days on these. These are past my time as a kid for playing with, so I just pick them up when they're cheap and if they've got a good date and they say Hasbro or one of the earlier names on them. But that was a pretty good purchase. As I said, I sold a whole bunch of action figures this week. Most of what we had up I've sold, I think, for this point. This one here, I sold a bunch of others from Hickory before. Some went for like 125 bucks. This one I took 35. It's been up for a couple weeks or a month or 2 maybe. So at this point, I'm not too worried. Their comparables were in that range. I just threw some high price because most of the cards from that area seem to sell high. Since then, I've seen others that have sold of this same one. So 35 was a pretty high price even for this card. So, you know, they always sell for us. And again, these are just the last couple days worth of items I sold. Just picked some random items. I am not including clothing again. I sold the records, as I said, but I'm not going to show any records this week. I've showed records quite often, and anybody can see a record. This is some camera stuff that I got a while ago. I still sell this every week or 2. I sell a couple pieces out of it. Again, residual income. This was a $10 return. And I had a bunch of these from that same lot, so I've made like 60 or 70 just on these little tiny things. And these are things that you can even find at Savers for like a nickel or a quarter worth out of a bag on the wall or something. I mean, you have nothing into it, because they're big bags of just junk items like this back by the ours are in the back in the electrical section where there's phone items and adapter cords and stuff, and that's where you can find these items too. Same with Goodwill, flea markets, auctions as well too, of course. As I said, I sold 30 or 40 comics. Here's another one. I think we took $30. Yeah, $30 on this one, and then plus the shipping. This is a lot of 6, and we were just throwing some of these cheaper ones in. These are ones that aren't worth selling on their own, and we just bundle them together. I usually bundle them in lots of 6, just because it's 12 photos, and one of front and one of back of each one, and that's how I list them that way. That fills up all the photos. But pretty good. I don't have but $3 or $4 probably in this whole lot. We bought tons of comics not too long ago. I don't know, 600-700 of them, and they're all early, Bronze Age or before. Let's see here. Trade card, $27.50 we took out of it. Every one the Statue of Liberty sells for us, and this one's actually been trimmed, or it's a trim piece of something else. The image still sells. You can see where it was cut off, and this is literally shown this way, so they know that's what it is. But this image on the front's what sold it. Right after it was brought here, probably. Something right after that. Probably after the unveiling of it. It's got weight and where it came from. It's got the artist's name, of course. But a pretty good item. We sell most items of the Victorian trade cards that have Statue of Liberty for us do sell. And they do sell $15, $20 or higher. Every one of them. But let's move on. This one was up for a whopping 2 hours. I was still listing cards with one of my employees when this one came up, and it was just listed. I could have put higher on it, but that's about what these go for in that price range. Now, this one doesn't say Waltham, the Waltham Watch Factory, but I've had the postcards before, and that's what this is. It doesn't say it, as I said, but that is what this is. If you find the Waltham cards, it shows the same building, literally. So anyway, that was a pretty good quick one. Here's the next one. This is another one. This one was up for like 4 hours. I could have probably put a little more on this one too, and I think this one was, this one was hand tinted, and I don't think it was added. Yeah, we didn't have it in the title. But there's only so much space, obviously, and you want the Colonel Bogardus cottage. That's a specific person, and he's a military war hero in the area. But that's why that one sold quick. $18.50. Again, these are like $1 or less for these postcards. I pay for them across the board. If they're from my one of my pickers, they're usually like $2 or less for every card. Some of the better ones I might pay $3, $4, $5 for, but they're usually real good cards. Again, I talk about labels. I sell them all the time. This one sold $34.50. I was kind of surprised. This one was one of the ones I had up a little longer than most. Crapo Park. It's awful name, or Crapo. I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but that's kind of a bad name. It's a neat looking label though, so it did sell $34.50. And these I've got pennies into this again. This one was up for 6 months, so at the most I have 30 cents in the listing of this. Posters, I've talked about these before. I sell all these war, military, recruitment wall posters and things all the time. The person who bought this was actually stationed at one of these places that flew this exact same plane. So I've probably sold 75% of these posters that I got. Right off the bat, very quickly and very easily. So that's that one. Let's move on to the next one. Another brooch. This one I took $35. It had been up for a little while. I'd planned on doing a sale on some of these, but I took the offer. It's fine. It's probably gold-filled pin. It's an early one. It's a nice-looking design. It is fancy. It's got an old T-bar. Fortunately, the photo's a little shot there. Had it been clear, I could have shown you the T-bar, but that's a T-bar. Again, we sold like 20-some-odd pieces of jewelry, I think, this week. Another pin. This is a religious one. This one did go for $37.50. This is like circa 1910, 1920. Sacred Heart pin. Whenever you see that heart with the red and the cross on top, that's a Sacred Heart. Sometimes you'll see Jesus holding it or something like that. These items are early. They usually sell. It was like the Sacred Heart organization or something along that line. But I always sell the Sacred Heart pins, even these little tiny ones. This This is like 1/2 inch tall, so it's a real tiny pin, not very big at all. And, you know, I was really surprised it went for full price. Again, I just throw some real high price out there, and a big chunk of the time it does sell at that price. And you see I sell religious items at least a couple times a week, every single week. I think I've shown something religious in almost every video. And these items I find at church sales all the time in little bags at the counter or in little baskets for, you know, less than $1. Sometimes, you know, it's a bag of like 10 or 15 little religious pins, and it might be $1 for the whole bag. So this is something you need to look for. Religious items always sell. You need to broaden your horizon and not lock yourself into selling just clothing or just one specific item. You got to do that to advance. You're not going to have storage space. That's going to be a big issue for people if you want to scale up to, you know, having the quantities that we have or some of these other big sellers have. The only way to scale up is to have, you know, huge space and spend more on storage, or to find smaller items. Think outside the box. I showed this in a video too. It did sell for $18.50 overnight last night. It was up for maybe a month or two. So, you know, I've got 10 cents in a listing, this thing. It's got a missing tail on it even. But it is a vintage one. It is original. It's something that does not show up. Could be considered a monster one even. Who knows? But $18.50, I was pretty surprised. It does look like to be missing the very tip of the tail, which is what it is. It does look like that. And then you can see the rest of it from there. But it is vintage, so jigglers always sell. If you're not aware of what a jiggler is, I've got some earlier videos here. You might want to check them out. I go over a lot of different oddball items in some of my earlier videos as well, too. And the last item here, I took 50 on this one. I went back and forth a couple times. This guy's from Canada. He's going to spend $10 to ship it to him. And I said, what the heck, $50 is pretty good. I don't know what this is worth. Canadian card will take longer to sell than a U.S. card or a China card or something like that. So when I get a decent offer on a Canadian card, I just sell it. You know, I again, only have pennies into it, $1 or less probably for the Canadian ones. And, you know, who cares if I take $50 for it? It's a huge profit margin at that. I know I didn't pay more than $1 for a Canadian card. I will never, ever pay, you know, high dollars for the Canadian cards again, because they do sell less frequent than the American cards, unless it's some real rare train scene. I've sold some Canadian cards for $150, $200 before, but that's usually about the max for Canadian cards. But that's what I have for today. I'll be working on a lot of content, and we're trying to push for a live broadcast on Wednesday. We're still tentative, so it may be pushed back one more week. But we want to have everything set up and ready to go, and know what's going on and have all the equipment in place before we go ahead and just do it, because I would hate to have to stop midstream and try to figure it out. But again, that's what we have. Well, there you have it. There's another What's Sold. I'm trying to give you some information on the items, go into some detail. But that's literally what I have going on this week. It's been a very busy week. We're still on postcards. I was going to switch, but we've been selling a ton of postcards, and I keep getting them in. So I've been kind of focusing on postcards, as well as other items, obviously. But postcards are easy for my employees to list, and it just takes a matter of moments for me to write some prices down and things like that on them. So postcards has been what we're gearing towards. And some toys, and we're going to shoot out some clothing this week too, just to get it out of the way. But we've been organizing and moving things around here too. I've got some other shelves coming in. We're expanding some desks, and we're going to go from there. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully you saw something you liked. Please hit the like button below, subscribe, and tell a friend.